The massive Galactic Council exploration ship Eternal Discovery slowed as it approached the dark shape floating against the backdrop of stars. Captain Moore stood on the bridge, his four eyes narrowed as he studied the readings on the main screen. "Confirm those readings," he ordered, his pale blue skin wrinkling with concern. Officer Trell, a slender being with scale-like skin, tapped rapidly on her console. "Captain, the vessel matches no known design in our database and the environmental readings." She paused, double-checking her instruments. "Sir, the radiation levels alone would kill most species within minutes." Captain Moore's antenna twitched with excitement. The Galactic Council rewarded new discoveries generously, and a mysterious ship of unknown origin could mean a significant promotion. "Classification?" he asked. "Based on environmental hazards, toxic atmosphere composition, radiation levels, and temperature fluctuations, it registers as a Class 210 Death World ship," Trell replied, her voice dropping to a whisper. The bridge fell silent. Class 210 was a designation reserved for only the most hostile and dangerous environments in known space. Most species in the Galactic Council couldn't survive even brief exposure to such conditions. "Notify Council headquarters," Moore said, trying to keep his voice steady, "and prepare a salvage team. Full environmental protection protocols." 6 hours later, representatives from 3 species gathered in the Eternal Discovery's preparation bay. Captain Moores of the Trillion supervised as his crew donned their most advanced environmental suits. Beside him stood Commander Lin of the Cadre Forces, her reptilian features set in a permanent scowl, and Science Officer Pax of the Vox, whose translucent skin revealed the nervous fluttering of his internal organs. "These suits cost more than most starships," Lin said, watching her soldiers prepare. "They better hold against whatever's on that death trap." "The ship appears to be thousands of years old," Pax said, checking readings on his wrist device. "Likely abandoned after whatever catastrophic event created such hostile internal conditions." Captain Moores nodded, watching as the final preparations were made. "Remember, we're looking for technology, design elements, anything that might be valuable to the Council. But safety is priority one. At the first sign of suit failure, you return immediately." The boarding team of 12, 4 from each species, completed their preparations. Their suits were bulky masterpieces of engineering, designed to withstand extreme conditions for up to 8 hours. As the team entered the shuttle that would take them to the derelict vessel, Officer Trell approached Captain Moores. "Sir," she said quietly, "we're detecting something unusual." "Define unusual," Moores replied. "Movement inside the ship and energy signatures that suggest, well, that suggests some systems might still be operational." Moores felt his heart race. "After thousands of years." "That's what the readings indicate, sir." The shuttle docked with the ancient vessel with a metallic clunk. The boarding team activated their suits' external lights, illuminating the dark, dusty airlock they had attached to. "Atmosphere is toxic," reported Vril, the Vox technician. "Radiation levels are extremely high. Our suits are holding, but I wouldn't recommend staying longer than 4 hours." Commander Lin took the lead, her weapon ready. "Let's move quickly, then." They forced open the inner airlock door, revealing a long, dark corridor. Strange symbols covered the walls, unlike any language known to the Council. The team moved forward cautiously, their heavy boots clanking against the metal floor. "These designs," Pax said, studying the ship's interior, "they're built for durability, not comfort. Whoever made this vessel expected it to take significant damage." "A warship?" asked Lin. "Most likely," Pax agreed. They continued deeper into the ship, passing rooms filled with equipment too damaged to identify. But as they approached what seemed to be the center of the vessel, things changed. The dust was less thick. Some lights flickered weakly in the ceiling. "Is it just me?" asked Trell. "Or does it look like someone's been here recently?" Before anyone could answer, A loud clanging sound echoed down the corridor ahead of them. The team froze, weapons raised. That was not a random systems failure, Lynn whispered. Another sound followed, something that almost resembled speech, but in no language they recognized. We should call for backup, suggested Vril, his transparent skin now a pale yellow with fear. No, said Moores firmly. Whatever's making that noise, we need to see it. This is first contact protocol now. They moved forward slowly, following the sounds to a large doorway. The door was partially open, and light, actual light, spilled out from inside. Moores signaled, and the team took positions on either side of the door. With a nod, Lynn pushed it fully open, and they rushed in, weapons ready. What they saw made them stop in confusion. The room was clearly the ship's bridge. Ancient control panels lined the walls, many now active with blinking lights. In the center of the room stood a group of beings they had never encountered before. They wore what looked like simplified environmental suits, far less advanced than what the council team wore, with clear helmets that revealed pink-skinned, furry-topped creatures with only 2 eyes and bizarre flat features. Most shocking of all, these creatures were working on the ship's systems, using tools to repair damaged components. A container sat on one console, and one of the creatures was actually consuming something from a cylindrical object. The aliens looked up as the council team burst in, but showed no sign of alarm. Instead, they seemed annoyed at the interruption. The tallest of the strange beings set down a tool and stepped forward. Inside its simple helmet, its mouth moved, and a rough, deep sound emerged. A translator in Moore's suit attempted to process the sounds, finally producing, "About time you folks showed up. We've been expecting company." The council team stood frozen in shock. These creatures were not only surviving in conditions that should have killed them instantly, they were working as if the deadly environment was merely an inconvenience. Who are you?" Moores finally managed to ask. The creature made a gesture with its upper limbs. "Name's Jack, Human, Earth Special Projects Division." It pointed to the others. "That's Mike, that's Dana, and the one drinking coffee is Tom." "Humans," Pax whispered frantically, checking his database. No record of this species in council archives. Jack seemed amused by their confusion. "Yeah, we tend to fly under the radar. Been that way for a while." "How are you surviving these conditions?" Lynn demanded, gesturing at their relatively simple protective gear. "This is a Class 210 Death World environment." The human called Jack made a sound that the translator identified as laughter. This is nothing. You should visit Earth sometime, though you'd probably need better suits than those fancy bubbles you're wearing." The human called Tom joined Jack, holding his drinking container. "We found this old girl drifting about 3 months ago, been fixing her up since then. Got most of the weapon systems back online already." "Weapons?" Moores asked, suddenly alarmed. "Yeah," Jack said, his expression turning serious. "You're going to need them. We all are. That's why we're here." "I don't understand," Moores said. Jack looked at each of the council representatives, then at his fellow humans, before speaking again. "War's coming," he said simply. "Something nasty that hibernates in deep space for a few thousand years, then wakes up hungry. Your people call it the Void. It's headed this way, and this ship is one of the few things that can hurt it." Commander Lynn stepped forward aggressively. "This vessel falls under Galactic Council jurisdiction now. Whatever information you have." Jack held up a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. "Let's get something straight. We found this ship. We fixed this ship. And more importantly," he pointed at a symbol etched into one wall, then at a similar mark on his suit, "this ship recognizes us. So how about we start with formal introductions? And then you can tell your council they're going to want to make some new friends fast." The council team looked at each other in confusion and growing concern. The universe as they knew it had just changed forever, and the humans didn't even seem impressed. Captain Moores and the alien delegation sat across from the humans in what appeared to be the ship's meeting room. The lighting was dim, and warning symbols flashed on the walls. According to their suit readings, the radiation in this room alone was enough to kill most council species within hours. Yet the humans had removed their helmets. "You can't possibly survive these conditions," Science Officer Pax said, his translucent skin pulsing with confusion. The human female called Dana smiled and pushed a strand of yellow hair behind her ear. "The radiation. It's not great, but it's comparable to what we get in deep mining operations back home. Short-term exposure is manageable." "Manageable." Commander Lin's voice rose sharply. "Our suits are alerting us to lethal conditions." Jack shrugged. "Different biology, different tolerances. We've got good radiation resistance compared to most species we've encountered." Moores tried to process this information. "Where is this Earth? Why have we never cataloged your species?" Tom, the stockier human, laughed. "We're in what you folks call the dead zone. That area of space your ships avoid because of the high radiation, extreme gravity wells, and unstable stellar activity. Nothing can evolve in the dead zone," Pax argued. "It's scientifically impossible. And yet here we are," Jack said with a smile. "Earth makes the ship look like a vacation spot. By your classification system, Earth would be—" Dana tapped on a small device. "Class 240 Death World, approximately." The aliens fell silent, their translator devices struggling to convey their shock. "Impossible," Lin finally whispered. "I think our definitions of impossible might differ," Jack replied. "Look, we don't have time for a biology lecture. This ship is important, and we need to work together." Moore's antenna quivered with both fear and curiosity. "Tell us about this war you mentioned." Jack nodded to Dana, who activated a holographic display in the center of the table. A swirling darkness appeared, moving between stars. "We call it the Void," she explained. "It's not a species like you or us. It's something older. It consumes energy from stars, planets, living things. It hibernates for thousands of years, then wakes hungry." "This is a myth," Commander Lin said dismissively. "A space legend told to frighten younglings." "You wish," Tom replied, his face serious now. "We detected its energy signature 3 Earth months ago when it consumed a star system at the edge of what you call Sector 17. Pax's skin turned almost transparent with alarm. "Sector 17 reported unusual stellar activity recently. 3 systems went dark." "Not dark," Jack corrected. "Gone. Completely gone." Before the aliens could respond, a new voice filled the room, deep, resonant, and clearly artificial. "Genetic match confirmed. Access granted to command functions." The walls around them lit up with new displays. The ship was waking up. "What's happening?" Moores demanded. Jack smiled. "The ship's AI is fully online now. It's been partially active since we arrived, but it needed time to verify our DNA." "Your DNA? Why would an ancient ship recognize human genetic code?" Pax asked. A holographic figure appeared at the head of the table, tall, humanoid, but with features that seemed both familiar and alien. "Because they are the descendants," the AI said, "the inheritors of the progenitor legacy." The humans looked as surprised as the aliens. "We suspected something like this," Dana said quietly. "The ship's controls were too intuitive for us, almost like they were designed for human hands." The AI nodded. "This vessel was constructed by the progenitors to combat the Void during its last awakening cycle. The progenitors seeded many worlds with their genetic material before the final battle. Earth was one such world." "You're saying humans are descendants of the warriors who built this ship?" Moores asked, trying to grasp the implications. "Partial descendants," the AI corrected. The progenitor genetic material merged with Earth's evolving life. The result was a species with remarkable adaptability and resistance to environmental extremes. Tom laughed. So that's why we can handle all this radiation and toxic air. We've got ancient alien super soldier DNA. Your natural evolution on a high-gravity, radiation-exposed planet with diverse environmental hazards enhanced these traits, the AI explained. The progenitors would be impressed. Jack turned back to the aliens. This changes the situation. Your council needs to know what we're facing and what this ship means. Commander Lin, still skeptical, leaned forward. Why should we believe any of this? You could have programmed this AI to tell us whatever story you wanted. As if in answer, the ship trembled. Lights flickered, and new alerts appeared on the walls. Incoming transmission, the AI announced. Galactic Council emergency broadcast. A new hologram appeared, a Vox Admiral, his skin pulsing with urgent patterns. Eternal discovery. This is Admiral Keth. Respond immediately. We have a critical situation. Captain Moores activated his communication system. This is Captain Moores. We are aboard the ancient vessel with representatives from an unknown species called humans. The Admiral barely acknowledged this surprising information. Captain, 3 Outer Rim colonies have gone silent in the past 12 hours. Our scout ships report. They report total planetary consumption. The stars, the planets, everything's just gone. The Council is declaring an Omega-level emergency. The hologram flickered out as the transmission ended. Jack looked at the stunned aliens. The void is awake and feeding. It's moving faster than we anticipated. How do you know so much about this threat? Moores demanded, suspicion mixing with fear. Dana stood and walked to a wall panel. She pressed several controls, and a star map appeared, showing a bright point labeled Earth and a dark, spreading shadow moving through space. Because it's coming for us, she said quietly. Its path leads directly to our solar system. We've been tracking it since we detected the first energy anomalies. Why would it target your world specifically? Pax asked. The AI answered. Earth's biosphere contains more diverse energy patterns than most life-bearing worlds. The void is drawn to such diversity. Jack's face hardened. We found mentions of the void in ancient Earth myths, stories about a darkness between stars that devours worlds. When our deep space sensors detected something matching those descriptions, we started searching for answers. And you found this ship, Moores concluded. Not by accident, Tom added. The ship was sending out a signal, very weak, very specific frequency, only detectable by systems using certain progenitor-derived technology. Like the technology we reverse-engineered from artifacts found on Earth, Dana explained. We didn't know what the signal meant, but we followed it. Commander Lin finally seemed to be taking the humans seriously. So your people sent you to investigate this ship because you believed a legendary space monster was coming to eat your planet. Pretty much, Jack nodded. We're practical that way. The Galactic Council has millions of ships, advanced technology, thousands of member species, Pax said. Yet you think this one ancient vessel is your best defense. The AI's hologram gestured, and new displays showed the ship's weapon systems. Strange, complex designs unlike anything the Council used. This vessel was specifically designed to combat the void. It stated, conventional weapons cannot harm it. It exists partially outside normal spacetime. A communication alert chimed from Tom's wrist device. He checked it and looked up at Jack. Admiral Taylor has arrived with the second team. The Horizon is docking now. Jack nodded and turned to the aliens. More of our people are here with supplies and equipment. I suggest you contact your council and arrange for proper diplomatic channels. This just became a formal first contact situation in the middle of a war emergency. Captain Moores felt overwhelmed, but tried to maintain his authority. This vessel falls under council jurisdiction. We cannot simply allow an unknown species to take control of it. Jack's expression hardened. Captain, with all due respect, we already have control of it. The ship's AI recognizes us as the rightful inheritors. But we're not looking to fight you. We want to work together. Why? Lynn asked suspiciously. Because the Void doesn't care what planet you're from, Jack replied simply. It'll consume everything in its path. Earth, your council worlds, everything. We need each other. The door to the meeting room slid open, and a tall, imposing human female entered. Her uniform was more elaborate than the others, with gleaming symbols on the shoulders. Behind her came more humans carrying equipment. Admiral Taylor, Jack said, standing at attention. Meet Captain Moores of the Galactic Council exploration vessel Eternal Discovery. Admiral Taylor surveyed the aliens with sharp eyes, then nodded. Captain, I understand we have a lot to discuss and not much time to do it. The Void has accelerated its feeding cycle. At current speeds, it will reach Earth in less than 30 days. Moores looked at the confident humans, at the ancient AI, and at his own team's worried expressions. The universe had suddenly become much more dangerous and strange than anything in the Council's extensive databases had prepared him for. And humanity, a species that evolved on a world more deadly than any in known space, might be their only hope of survival. The next 12 hours aboard the ancient ship were tense. Human engineers worked side by side with reluctant Galactic Council technicians. Admiral Taylor had established a command center in what was once the ship's main bridge, while Captain Moores was in constant communication with Council headquarters. They don't believe us, Moores said, his antenna drooping with frustration as he returned from another call. The High Council thinks this is either a misunderstanding or some elaborate trick. Admiral Taylor looked up from a holographic display where she had been studying the ship's weapon systems with Dana. They'll believe when the Void reaches their territory. Unfortunately, that might be too late. The ship's AI, which the humans had nicknamed Atlas, materialized beside them. I have completed the historical records transfer. All data on previous encounters with the Void is now available. Jack, Tom, and the galactic aliens gathered around the central display table. Atlas projected a timeline showing encounters with the Void stretching back nearly 100,000 years. The cycle is consistent, Atlas explained. The Void hibernates for approximately 5,000 years, then awakens and feeds for a period of 50 to 60 years before returning to hibernation. What exactly is it? Commander Lynn asked, her scales shifting color with unease. Atlas displayed a swirling mass of darkness that seemed to bend light around it. The Void is not entirely of this universe. It exists partially in what the progenitors called null space, a region beyond conventional physics. It feeds on energy in all forms, from stars, planets, and living beings. Can it be reasoned with? Pax asked. Tom let out a short laugh. Can you reason with a hurricane or a black hole? Atlas confirmed. The Void shows no signs of sentience as you would understand it. It is a force of nature, albeit one with purpose. It consumes to survive. Admiral Taylor pointed to marks on the timeline. These represent battles. Yes, Atlas said. The progenitors fought the Void across 27 star systems during its last feeding cycle. They used vessels like this one, designed to channel specific energy frequencies that can harm the Void's physical manifestation. Jack studied the battle records. How successful were they? Atlas's holographic face remained neutral, but his voice seemed to carry a note of sadness. They could not destroy the Void. The best outcome was forcing it back into hibernation before it consumed too many inhabited worlds. And the progenitors? Dana asked quietly. What happened to them? They sacrificed their home system, Atlas replied. They created a massive energy trap that forced the Void into early hibernation, but the process destroyed their civilization. The survivors scattered, seeded worlds like Earth. A heavy silence fell over the room. So that's our best-case scenario, Commander Lynn said. Sacrifice entire star systems just to put this thing to sleep for another 5,000 years. No, Jack said firmly. The progenitors didn't have what we have. Which is? Moores asked. Jack gestured around them. This ship, for one. Their knowledge. And something they didn't have. Allies. Admiral Taylor nodded. If we combine this ship's technology with modern innovations from both humans and the Council, we might find a better solution. A new alert sounded, and Tom checked the sensor readings. We've got company, big company. The main screen showed a massive fleet of ships approaching their position. Sleek, gleaming vessels that dwarfed both the human ships and the Eternal Discovery. The Council Emergency Response Fleet, Pax explained. They must have taken our warning seriously after all. Admiral Taylor didn't look relieved. Atlas, scan those ships. Are they approaching in attack formation? Atlas paused, then confirmed. Their weapon systems are activated. They are preparing to fire on this vessel. Moores looked shocked. That's impossible. Why would they attack? A communication request flashed on the screen. Admiral Taylor nodded, and a new hologram appeared. A tall, thin alien with elaborate robes and cybernetic implants. High Counselor Zax, Moore said, bowing slightly. The High Counselor ignored him, focusing on the humans. Unidentified species, you have illegally seized a dangerous artifact under Council protection. You will surrender the vessel immediately or be destroyed. Jack stepped forward. High Counselor, we're not seizing anything. We're trying to prepare for a threat that could destroy all our worlds. If you scan the ship, you'll see it's recognized our genetic connection to its builders. Irrelevant, Zax replied coldly. The ship is in Council space. Our scientists will study both the vessel and the void situation. Your species is unregistered and unauthorized for first contact procedures. Dana murmured to Admiral Taylor. They don't get it. They think this is about politics. Admiral Taylor addressed the High Counselor directly. With respect, there isn't time for bureaucracy. The void has already consumed 3 of your outer colonies. We have 30 days before it reaches populated systems. 28 days. Atlas corrected. Its acceleration continues to increase. High Counselor Zax's expression hardened. Your primitive species cannot possibly understand. He was interrupted as every screen in the room suddenly flashed red. New data poured across the displays. What's happening? Commander Lin demanded. Atlas's voice was urgent. Long-range sensors detect a massive energy disturbance. The void has changed course. It's moving much faster than predicted. The main screen showed a star system with 4 planets. As they watched, a darkness spread across the system. One by one, the planets disappeared from the sensors. Finally, the star itself flickered and vanished. That's the Marduk system, Pax whispered. Population of over 3 billion. High Counselor Zax's hologram showed the alien's shock. Impossible. The Marduk system is one of our strongest military outposts, was Jack corrected quietly. It's gone now. Admiral Taylor turned to Atlas. Revised timeline. The AI's calculations appeared on a side screen. At current velocity, the void will reach Earth in 12 days. It will encounter 14 Council worlds before that. The High Counselor's arrogance vanished. We need to evacuate those systems immediately. You can't evacuate 14 worlds in 12 days, Tom said, shaking his head. We need to fight. High Counselor Zax looked at the humans with new respect. Our weapons had no effect on the anomaly at Marduk. What makes you think this old ship can do better? Jack gestured to Atlas. Show them. Atlas displayed schematics of the ship's main weapon system. This vessel generates specific energy frequencies that can disrupt the void's connection to our spacetime. It cannot destroy the void, but it can repel it. One ship against something that eats stars. Commander Lin scoffed. That's suicide. Admiral Taylor smiled for the first time. Who said anything about one ship? She nodded to Dana, who activated her communication device. A new hologram appeared, showing a massive shipyard hidden in an asteroid field. Humans worked frantically on dozens of partially completed vessels. "We've been building," Admiral Taylor explained. "Since we found this ship 3 months ago, we've been replicating its technology. We have 15 smaller vessels almost ready." The Council aliens stared in disbelief. "How?" Moores began. "How did your species move so quickly?" Tom laughed. "When someone tells humans a space monster is coming to eat our planet, we don't form committees. We build weapons." High Counselor Zack studied the shipyard footage. "These vessels, they cannot possibly be as effective as the original." "They're not," Jack admitted. "They're just the delivery system. The real weapon is something else entirely." Admiral Taylor nodded to Atlas, who displayed a new schematic, a complex device small enough to fit in a human hand. "We call it the Dream Catcher," she explained. "Based on the original ship's technology but modified. Instead of just repelling the void, it forces it into accelerated hibernation." "That's impossible," Pax said automatically, then caught himself. "I mean, the energy requirements would be immense." Jack nodded. "That's why we need the Council's help. Our ships can deliver the devices, but we need your fleet to generate the energy field that will activate them." High Counselor Zax was silent for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. "The Council will cooperate. We have no choice." "Good," Admiral Taylor said, "because there's one more thing you should know." She gestured, and Atlas displayed a new course projection for the void. "It's not random," she explained. "The void is moving with purpose. After Earth, its trajectory takes it directly to the Council's capital worlds." The aliens fell silent as they processed this information. "How did you know?" Moores finally asked. "How did your people prepare so much so quickly?" Jack and Admiral Taylor exchanged glances. "Because this isn't the first time," Jack said quietly. "According to our oldest myths, the void has visited Earth before. The records were fragmented, passed down as legends about a world eater or star devourer. When our deep space sensors detected the energy pattern, we recognized it from those descriptions." "Your species remembered for 5,000 years?" Pax asked, amazed. "We're stubborn that way," Tom said with a grim smile. "And we hold grudges." Admiral Taylor stood tall. "High Counselor, we need to move quickly. Every ship, every resource, everything we have goes into this fight. The void won't stop with a few systems. It will consume everything if we let it." High Counselor Zax nodded, his earlier arrogance replaced by determination. "The Council fleet is at your disposal, Admiral. What is your plan?" Admiral Taylor looked at Jack, who stepped forward with a confident smile. "We're going to set a trap," he said, "and we're going to use Earth as the bait." The solar system that humans called home buzzed with activity unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever witnessed. Within just 3 days of the meeting aboard the ancient ship, Earth's orbit was filled with vessels from both human and Council fleets. The original Death World ship, now officially named Progenitor by joint agreement, had been moved to orbit around Jupiter. Captain Moores stood on the observation deck of his own vessel, watching in amazement as humans swarmed over the gas giant's moons. "What exactly are they building?" he asked Admiral Taylor, who had come aboard for a strategy meeting. She pointed to massive structures emerging on Ganymede, Callisto, and 3 other Jovian moons. "Energy projectors, part of our trap." Science Officer Pax studied the readings with fascination. "The power requirements must be enormous. How are they generating enough energy?" "Fusion reactors," Tom explained as he entered the room with several data tablets. "We've been building them in secret for decades, disguised as mining operations." Commander Lin snorted in disbelief. "Your species hid planet-scale energy weapons from your own population." Tom shrugged. "We called it the Deep Space Defense Initiative. Most people thought it was just a waste of tax money. Turns out paranoia sometimes pays off. Admiral Taylor brought up a holographic display of the solar system. The trap is simple in concept. We know the void is attracted to concentrated energy sources. Earth is already a beacon to it with our biosphere's diversity. We're going to make it even more tempting. Jack joined them, looking tired but determined. The Dreamcatcher devices are being installed on all 15 of our replica ships. We've also adapted the technology to work with 50 Council vessels. And you're certain these will work? High Counselor Zax asked via hologram from his flagship. No, Jack answered honestly. But Atlas's data gives us a fighting chance. The original progenitor weapon could push the void back. Our Dreamcatchers are designed to trigger its hibernation cycle prematurely. The Council representatives exchange worried glances. Your honesty is unusual, Commander Lin noted. Most species would promise victory to gain our support. Dana, who had been quietly working on calculations, looked up. We don't have time for false promises. The void has consumed 2 more systems in the past 24 hours. It's accelerating even faster than we predicted. Atlas appeared on the command deck, his holographic form flickering slightly. New projections indicate the void will reach Jupiter's orbit in 7 days, not 9 as previously calculated. A tense silence fell over the room. We need more time, Admiral Taylor said, studying the construction reports. The lunar installations won't be ready for at least 8 days. Then we need to slow it down, Jack said. He turned to High Counselor Zax. We need your fastest ships to deploy a series of energy decoys along the void's path. Decoys? Zax asked. Small energy sources, Dana explained, bringing up the designs. Not enough to satisfy it, but enough to distract it temporarily. Like throwing snacks to delay a predator. You're asking us to sacrifice more ships, Commander Lin said bluntly. Unmanned drones, Jack clarified. No crew. Just automated vessels broadcasting energy signatures similar to a living world, but at about 10% intensity. High Counselor Zax considered the plan. It could work. The beacons might buy us the extra days we need. We'll need to coordinate the deployment carefully, Admiral Taylor said. If the decoys are too weak, the void will ignore them, too strong, and it might change course entirely and head for a populated system. Tom brought up navigation charts. We've calculated optimal positions. If we deploy 40 decoys at these coordinates, we should be able to slow the void's approach by approximately 36 hours. Do it, Zax ordered. I'll assign Commander Vex to coordinate with your team. As the meeting continued, Captain Morse pulled Jack aside. There's something I don't understand. Why use Earth as bait? Why not evacuate your population and set the trap elsewhere? Jack's expression grew somber. 2 reasons. First, practical. We couldn't evacuate Earth in time. We have 8 billion people and limited interstellar capability. We'd save maybe 1 million at best. And the second reason. Morse pressed. Strategic, Jack said simply. If we run, the void will keep chasing us. Every world would fall, one after another. We need to make our stand somewhere, and Earth is as good a place as any. Better, actually, since we've been preparing for this. How long have you been preparing? Morse asked, curiosity overcoming his usual reserve. Jack's gaze drifted to the viewport, where Earth was visible as a small blue dot in the distance. In some ways, our entire history. Humans have always been obsessed with extinction-level threats, asteroids, nuclear war, climate collapse, artificial intelligence. We've spent centuries imagining ways the world might end. A morbid preoccupation, Morse commented. Maybe, Jack agreed. But it meant that when we detected the void, we already had protocols in place, plans ready to activate. While your council was debating whether to form a committee to study the anomaly, we were already building weapons. In the following days, the solar system transformed into a war zone. The Council's fastest ships deployed the energy decoys along the Void's projected path, while construction continued at a frantic pace on Jupiter's moons. The original progenitor ship underwent final modifications, with human engineers working alongside Council technicians in areas that would kill most species in minutes. On the fifth day, Major Reed of Earth's Special Forces conducted a training exercise that astonished the alien observers. In the most radiation-flooded section of the progenitor ship, Reed led a team of 20 humans through combat drills wearing only lightweight environmental suits. Commander Lin watched from behind a heavily shielded observation window. "This is madness," she said to Admiral Taylor. "They'll all be dead within a year from radiation exposure." "Maybe," the Admiral replied calmly. "But we need soldiers who can fight in these conditions. The Void disrupts normal environmental systems. Standard protection won't work in the battle zones." Science Officer Pax monitored the humans' vital signs with scientific curiosity. "Remarkable. Their cellular structure is actually adapting to the radiation rather than breaking down. I've never seen anything like it." Descendants of Deep-worlders, Dana reminded him with a slight smile. "We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us in 1,000 different ways every day. Makes you tough." On the training deck, Major Reed demonstrated how to deploy a Dreamcatcher device while under simulated attack. His movements were precise, economical, with no wasted energy. "The delivery teams will have approximately 20 seconds to plant each device before the Void's energy disrupts their suits," he explained to his squad. "After that, you'll start experiencing system failures. At 30 seconds, you'll be exposed to null space radiation." At 40 seconds, he didn't need to finish the sentence. "Suicide mission," one of the Council observers muttered. "No," Reed corrected sharply. "It's a calculated risk. We go in, plant the devices, get out. 20 seconds is plenty of time if you don't panic." "And if something goes wrong?" the alien asked. Reed's face hardened. "Then we make those 20 seconds count." On the sixth day, the energy decoys encountered the Void. From the command center established in Earth orbit, human and alien leaders watched as the darkness engulfed the unmanned vessels one by one. Each decoy slowed the Void briefly as it consumed the energy, giving the defenders precious additional hours. "It's working," High Counselor Zax observed, a note of hope in his voice for the first time. "For now," Jack cautioned. "But it's learning. Look how it's consuming the later decoys more quickly." Admiral Taylor studied the tactical display. Atlas revised timeline. The AI's calculations appeared instantly. The Void will reach Jupiter's orbit in 36 hours, Earth in approximately 45 hours after that. "Will the trap be ready?" Moores asked. Tom checked his data tablet. "The energy projectors on Jupiter's moons will be operational in 28 hours. The lunar defense grid is at 82% capacity and should reach full power in 40 hours. "It's going to be close," Jack said grimly. High Counselor Zax's hologram flickered as he received new information from his staff. "Our evacuation efforts are underway on the most vulnerable Council worlds, but we can only move a fraction of the populations in time." Dana looked up from her console. "We've finished modifying the Dreamcatcher devices. The Council engineer's suggestions improved the power efficiency by 23%. Admiral Taylor nodded. "Good. Deploy them to all ships immediately." "What about Earth?" Moores asked, the question that had been troubling him for days. "Your people must know what's coming." The panic. Jack's expression was somber. "We've initiated emergency protocols. The public has been told there's a potential cosmic event approaching, a massive solar flare that might disrupt communications. They've been advised to stock supplies and prepare for service interruptions. Most people are concerned but calm." "You didn't tell them the truth?" Lynn asked, surprised. "What would be the point?" Tom replied. "Mass panic wouldn't help. Either we succeed, or—" He didn't finish the sentence. On the seventh day, As the final preparations were being made, Captain Moores found Jack alone on the observation deck of the progenitor ship. The human was staring at the distant blue sphere of Earth.